Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to talk about Purraj of Urborg. That's right. All the way back from Mirage. Uh, in the early stages of our game, the spells were amazing and the creatures were not. They have long been since trying to remedy that. And this is kind of, it's a 5-mana 2/3. She is a legend. Now, I don't really know what creature type she is. I want to say probably Panther Warrior. I don't know. She has first strike when attacking. But you spend a black mana, you put a counter on her. Each time you would successfully cast a black spell. So, needless to say, as far as lending herself to Commander, she is mono black and she does encourage you to play mono black, so that, it kind of works. So you can go a couple of different ways with her. However, it's like, well, my entire deck is going to be mono black. So, with every spell you have pretty much has kicker a black to put a +1/+1 counter or something. Like, well, this has the potential because she's very unassuming. I mean, nobody really plays this commander, in bulk quantities. I'm not exactly certain how many decks there are on EDH Rec. I don't think I used EDH Rec at all for this deck because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Oh my goodness. I started the video before I got my piles ready. So you're just going to have to bear with me for a moment. So, what I wanted to do with Purraj was good old-fashioned poison. Because the idea there was, if she is going to be a large commander, why not give her infect? And then, you know what? It goes way deeper than that, though. It goes way deeper than infect. That's not the only way to get poison counters, but that is where most of the quantity of cards lie. Now, here again, the downside of glistening oil is it makes the creature smaller. But the -1/-1 counter and the +1 counter will cancel each other out, and therefore she won't grow as small as fast, probably, if at all. And then, of course, we have just good old-fashioned Phyresis to give her infect. Now, we're going to roll through some infected creatures here. Flincermite, Ickerclaw, Plague Stinger, Icker Rats. The Plague Mirror kind of doubles, as he's a little bit of ramp and a little bit of infect. If we get, there's a premium on the infect creatures for the mana cost. I get it. They're generally cost one more higher than you'd think they should. But if you can 1 point of damage, I know a lot of times we all say that infect damage is effectively double damage, but in our format it's quadruple. 10 poison counters is still going to kill a player, even though we start off at 40 life. So with this deck, you are sitting down, and everybody at the table, all your opponents, are effectively at 10 life. Hand of the Praetors was the last card I was waiting on for the deck, because, it's the Infect Champion. But that's why I was like, you know what? And over the years, of course, people have talked to the RC and stuff about trying to get the rules changed for poison in our format. Now, I don't know that that's ever going to happen, or at least it hasn't happened as of yet. But we and the reason why they say that is this: it's just not prevalent enough. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's dominating pods everywhere. Black Leave, the Vat Mother. Now, let's get into some other things here. Okay, this is going to be just... Woo. Tainted Strike can make it happen at instant speed. You know, if you're swinging with your 9 power commander and they don't block, and you're like, well, in that case, they're like, yeah, I can take 9. Tainted Strike you. Now, other cards that don't use the keyword infect, like Poisonous 3, Future Sight gave us this poisonous keyword, I guess is what it is. But they never really did anything with it. I guess because we went back to Mirrodin and they had infect and whatnot. But it just... Even if the creature deals 1 point of combat damage, they're going to get 3 poison counters. So, that's neat. And a poison counter's been around for a while. Attacks and is not blocked. Now, I'm not exactly certain the current wording on this, if it says deals combat damage. Attacked and is not blocked. And, I mean, there's a small distinction between the two, but still, it delivers a poison counter. As does the Scorpion. Here we got some a little bit of card draw and Painful Lesson, Sign in Blood, Read the Bones. Now, let's look at Moonlight Bargain, because this is a card I don't really play with that much, but it's more or less card draw, but it's guaranteed you to not draw what you don't want to draw. So, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, you play this and you reveal 5 lands when you're already land flooded. Well, you know, that's not a bad scenario. You just ditch them all, and you're not drawing land 5 turns in a row. I know we have all had that happen. Leaden Mirror for a little bit of mana ramp. We've got the Signal Pest just for the battle cry. That's it. It is an artifact, which that helps as well, but it's an artifact so that we can do things like sacrifice it to the Throne of Geth to proliferate. And while we're on the whole proliferate train, we might as well do it and do it right, especially that -1/-1 counter on somebody's team is really good. Now, I have called this the 10%er forever, because in 20 life formats, it gets you exactly 10% of the way to every different win condition. 2 life, they start at 20. Poison counter, 10 kills them. Mill 6, 60 card decks are standard, you know. So, but in our format, what is that? 5? I'm not mathing right now. So, Whip of Erebos is going to, infect and lifelink. That's a contradiction. But you can whip your dead guys back into play. Now, I'm running Spike Cannibal, which is one of the only creatures in the deck that doesn't actually use the word poison on it anywhere. But it's it's a Hydra killer. I mean, first off, for any +1/+1, and man, they're getting strong. Every time we come back to Ravnica, they get all +1/+1 counter crazy. I know, because I do it too. We've got Phyrexian Reclamation. 2 mana, 2 life. Bounce a creature back from your yard to your hand. That's not bad, because our creatures are going to die. Now, if they're going to die, Bone Harvest. Here's what I like about it. The any number, of course, you know, any number from anywhere. These are, I guess I love phrases that use the word any, but I do like it. I mean, I like it a lot. Well, let's see. That's okay. A little more ramp in Bubbling Muck, and of course I have a Dark Ritual. Card draw of Ambitious Cost. And I love the dual nature of the Caress of Phyrexia here, because if... Now, granted, it's risky business giving yourself 3 poison counters, but if you draw this and somebody's at 7 poison, it's pretty good. Now, of course, Disturbed Burial gets them back from the grave, and I love the fact that it says buyback. You know, it is a raised dead with buyback. You're going to spend 5 mana per revolution, but that's per revolution. You get revolutions. All your creatures are going to gain fear. And, you know, if you don't need it, you can cycle it away. Virulent Wound. -1/-1 counter on target creature. And when it dies, this is your perfect kill a bird. Elf, you know, the first goblin, whatever. To start the proliferation engine. Because, or you know, to start the counters going. However, though, be very careful, because one thing I have learned in Poison and multiplayer is once the first player gets about half poisoned, the table turns on you. Unearth, of course, is going to get back something. Now, Spoils of War, I believe this is actually a reserve list card from Ice Age. Where X is equal to the number of creatures and artifacts in target opponent's graveyard. So, I guess we better look at some removal real quick to show what we're doing removal-wise. Of course, we have the Go for the Throat, Murder, Fatal Push, Tragic Slip. But then we've got the Poison removal. You know, put a counter on something and then proliferate. That right there could also be player removal. Spread the Sickness, pop a creature, then proliferate. Now that's expensive at 5 mana, but depending on how many targets you've got to proliferate, it's probably pretty good. And then, of course, we're running a Virtue's Ruin, because that, in Garrick's Wake is nice, but the curve of the deck, as you can see, I'm already paying a lot for some of these infect creatures, and without a whole lot of ramp. Here, before I get to what I'm going to call the finishers, let's roll through our non-basic land base here. Of course, we got the Warp Landscape, Vault of Whispers, Haunted Fingraft, to Mortuary Mire, get one of those creatures back. Encroaching Waste, because the last thing you want to deal with is a Maze of Ith. And Rogue's Passage, because, I mean, it's Rogue's Passage. This is Infect. This is kind of what the deck was made for, you know? One of those gimbal things. Okie dokie. Now, our just about everything we got's black. If it's not an artifact, it's black in this deck. And that's, yes, I know it gives all creatures on the board +1, but, you know, an infect creatures +1 is worth a little more than just random guys +1. Lash Wraith. We're playing mono black, and y'all saw that there's not a whole lot of... I want to say there's 32 swamps in the deck. Yeah. Just Lash Wraith on a infect creature is something to be worried about. Now, I do have a Bone Splitter in there. It's just so cheap. For a total of 2 mana, a permanent +2, that means a lot to an infect creature. Now, Dragon Throne of Tarkir, if something happens and you're just not drawing your ways to give your commander infect, you just park her on the throne. And your infect creatures get pretty kind of big. Unholy Strength is in there as well for the same reason. It's 1 mana for a permanent +2. Now, Howl from Beyond used to get a lot of love. I mean, it was one of those early cards that we just, if you just wanted one creature to make it through, and you just dumped all your mana into it. But you know what? It's still valid. And nobody's ready for it because nobody plays it. And besides, this particular art looks like that guy off of He-Man. You know, the He-Man cartoon back when we were kids. Okay, when I was a kid. Anyway. And we had this for a while. And a few years later, we got Endless Scream. Which, for a long time, for the first, year that Tempest was out, I thought was the same card. Because back then, when they did a standalone set, they would do another Counterspell, another Disenchant, another Dark Ritual, just so that the set was standalone playable. But I realized it's an enchant creature. It's permanent. So after that, I don't know, I guess it was 98, 99, that I realized that this was not just a functional reprint of Howling Mine, or of Howl from Beyond. It's pretty good on an Infector. Excuse me. And our last card is Word of Binding. I do actually have several copies from the Dark, but y'all know me. I gotta rock that white border whenever I can. Nothing says loving like tapping X creatures. It's not X creatures that one opponent controls. It's just when you absolutely positively have to get your team knocking on their door, you remove all the blockers. You just tap them all. So, that kind of gets you there. Word of Binding. I don't know that Word of Binding's ever... I have never seen it cast by anyone else other than me. And I think I've only cast it probably a handful of times in the 24 years it's existed. 25, something like that. Well, that is what I have got for today. I would like to thank everybody and thank the patrons. Y'all definitely are making it happen. I've got the list of legends up. It's on Tapped Out. I've got it in like deck list form. It's the Legends I Need is what it's called. And I'm constantly updating it as I get them. I'm crossing them off the list. So I got several here recently. And I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But I think right now, it's time to shuffle and cut.